Hello, Lacey Barrett here, and I wanted to share with you a really great conversation that we had in our mock judging just a few days ago. Now, I want to give a little bit of a preface as to what's happening before we jump right into the footage from the judges' training. But I took one of my images and I cropped it panoramic, and I'll show you the image. I cropped it panoramic and I paired a title with it, and the title was Laser Focus. I thought I was being clever, and you'll see how it played out. But I want to give a little bit of context as to what's happening into the footage that's coming in. So I'll be commentating as time goes on. So you will see me back in a second. But for now, just to know that we have a panoramic cropped image with a title of Laser Focus. And one judge scored it a 29, and one judge scored it, I think, 42. So we were at a professional standard and we were at a silver. So there's a 10-point difference, which means the judge sitting on 42 was able to challenge, which she did. And the conversation ensued was so good and such a great example of the importance that titles play in our images. So take a listen and just know that this is also a training session. So I have cut out some of the personal questions, but I will commentate and fill you in as time goes on. So take a look at the conversation that ensued.
I'm obsessed with this image, though.
Give us your feedback, Bree.
Okay,
Why?
so I don't know if it's controversial because I'm not seeing it. I love that the photographer, I can tell they took risks. They got into like some crazy low angle to get this photo. Like you mentioned, the symmetry and like how she's dead smack center. It really, really gets me. Both people that are helping her are doing exactly the same thing, and the coloring, I love it. It's just very appealing to me, like to the eye. Everything is, I don't know the words. I love when they're very symmetrical like this. I feel it. I don't want to look away. It's beautiful to me. I think it's very deserving of silver.
Thanks, Bree.
The pink tones too, like in the mom's cheeks, matching the dad's shirt.
Good pickup. Judge 5, you're in silver as well. Tell us why.
I do think that the emotion has been captured beautifully. There's a wonderful symmetry. The crop gives all of the detail of what you need and eliminates everything that you don't need. You are drawn right into that birthing person's face. I'm sorry. The symmetry is just gorgeous, and that moment draws you right in. The connection, this has been captured beautifully. I wouldn't go up higher. I think there's some technical faults, but apart from that, this is an incredible moment that's been captured, and congratulations to the photographer. And I apologize for rambling. I got thrown off.
Thanks,
Very
Anne.
creative framing on this too.
Yeah, thanks, guys. Judge 1, you're on the lower side.
Yeah, sure. I congratulate the entrant on the crop. I think it was a great risk to take doing a creative crop like this, and I think it has worked out well for you. But for me, I know everyone's talking about symmetry, but the OCD in me, like the left hand at the bath doesn't match the right hand side of the bath. Even though the birthing person is centered, the bath isn't exact symmetry, and it's playing with my head. I love the tones of it. I think the tone and the post-processing has been done really well. The tap coming out of mum's head and the pole that is in front of the midwife is doing things with my eyes as well. So that's where I'm at the moment. But yeah, I really do appreciate and acknowledge the risk in taking the leap to do a panoramic crop.
Thanks, Kate.
I really, the crop was very interesting, and I really appreciated it. And I only scored it. I scored it where I scored it. I scored it solid bronze. And I'm slowly being convinced that, you know, the crop and the symmetry that the photo does offer does provide a more enticing look. Because I was kind of like right there on the edge, like I wanted to go higher, but I just wasn't sure what was holding me back. And I think, yeah, I'm not sure. I love it. So I'm just, as I sit here stare at, I'm loving it more. So let's give it more than 30 seconds.
Yeah. And I think a great thing to say here is if you're sitting on the fence like this, sometimes it's nice to just say, oh, judges, I'm listening. Like, you know, it's okay. Talk me up. I'm hearing. So that's a really great and fun way to let the entrant and the other judges know, like, I could come up. Talk me up. Bree, let's bring this back to Dania. No, you wanted to say something.
Yeah, I absolutely love this image as well, and I judged it, like I scored it a solid bronze, because I hear everything that's been said, and I completely agree with everything that's been said. The only thing that has stopped me from judging it silver is the title. I think the laser sharp focus, I see the midwife and the partner focus, but I don't see focus in the birthing person's face. I see a different emotion. And so I think it's debatable whether it's focus. Obviously she could be very focused, but I think it's and I was oscillating as well between thinking that it was a very clever title and then feeling like it threw me. So because I feel like the aperture that's been used to keep everything in focus does merit that. It's just something was a little bit off for me in the titling, and it created discordance in the title versus the image. Love the image. Wanted to see maybe to tease out that title a bit more.
Great perspective, Dania. Thanks. Bree, let's throw it back to you and give you a right of reply. With all of that in mind, what's your closing thoughts on asking your judges to come up to silver with you?
So for me, I think this photographer took complete risks being creative and went completely out of the box, and I admire that and I love that about this. It's unique. You won't see photos in this crop, and I feel like it's just so perfected.
Thanks, Bree. Judges, can you please rescore? So we're going to keep Judge 4. Bree is going to stay the same, and you guys can rescore.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Can you try to give a milk?
Just taking on board everyone's comments. Congratulations to the photographer. This image scores a 38, which is high bronze. Congratulations. Okay. Oh. What a great discussion. Thank you, judges. We will move on to the next image. Okay, so here's an interjection. That is the conversation that unfolded about the image. So what happened is one of the judges was 10 points higher than the lowest scoring judge, which was Bree. So she was able to challenge it, which she did. That enables a really great conversation to ensue between judges to discuss maybe some things that another judge didn't see, good things and not so great things. So this can be critique or this can be praise. Now, what happens next? For time's sake, I have had to cut as much of the video and the discussions as possible, but I wanted to leave you with the meat of it. And one of the judges asked, she was not on that panel of 5, she was watching the conversation unfold. One of the other judges said, I was in gold and somebody scored it bronze. Like, how does that work? Am I wrong? Are they wrong? Are we on the right page, on the wrong page? Is that normal? Should I be trying a different approach? Am I and so this is what the training sessions are all about, right? It is to enable these types of questions to come about, so that way we can answer these questions. And this was such a great question. I cut a lot of that out, although towards the end, I do, you'll get to hear me touch on how we all view images differently, and how approaching professional practice and professional practice are pretty clear cut, right? Either you have nailed the technical skill, it is a great professional standard, or it is not. When you start getting into the bronze, silver, and gold ranges, everybody has a different experience of the world. Everybody views art differently. It is subjective. And this is the beauty of having 5 people on the panel, right? I discuss this a little bit further in detail, but this is what came about after we had that discussion. And one of the other girls said, we started talking about the title. And this is what some of the girls said about the title.
Dania had a really great point with the title. So, spoiler alert, that's my image. And I specifically labeled it laser focus because I was looking at it as like zoom, a laser beam. You know how a laser beam cuts an image in its pano? This is a perfect example of a failure at visual communication. So my intention was that it was cropped like a laser beam, and by saying laser focus, that everybody would understand that it's like cropped like a laser. But I didn't think that people that I was submitting it to a bunch of photographers and that they would literally thought that I meant focus of the camera. And so this
yeah, I was going to say that message did not come through.
Right. And this is the importance of execution. I didn't execute that well, and the visual communication was not strong enough. And so as the entrant and knowing the rubric, I look at that and go, oh, now I see. That's why I didn't get gold, because I epically fucking failed at that title. Now, had I changed the wording up like Dania suggested, now that I say that's what that means, everyone's like, oh my God, I see it. Now, knowing that, would that change your score? Maybe. I don't know. But now I know that I have maximized my score as an entrant when I have successfully communicated, executed my intention. And then I know that the scores that I get back are the maximum that I can get. I'm going to leave this with that image going, I wonder what I would have got if I had just cleaned up that title. Could have I gotten gold? Could have I brought that up? And so I don't know if this is answering your question, but that bronze, silver, gold is basically up for interpretation according to each individual. And I want you to know that you seeing that as gold is not incorrect. It is correct. Kate seeing that as professional standard is not incorrect. That is correct, because we all have a different perspective and viewpoint and I like personal connection to that image. So it's not wrong. Does that make sense?
Last interjection. So after we finished discussing my attempt at being creative with my title and it backfiring, and then the score reflecting that backfire, the discussion turned to diversity on the panel. And I could cut this out and end right here because I've essentially shared what I wanted to share, but this conversation was so good. I really wanted to keep it in. And the reason why I wanted to keep it in is because part of the judges training is counseling and coaching on how the panel works and how and what the purpose of 5 people on that panel is. And so I continue discussing the importance of having diversity on the panel and the importance of having somebody out of 29 and somebody out of 42 or somebody out of 47, and the reason why we need that, and for that diversity and the difference of opinions. And so obviously we're not wanting to have a robotic panel where everybody is scoring between 20 and 29, like in the very, very close range of like 25 and 28. So when we have a panel that's pretty consistent, then it's safe to say that everyone agrees that that is whatever, range that falls into. But then every now and then I expect that we should get every now and then an image that splits the panel. And the reason why some people will put it in gold and why some people will put it in bronze or professional practice even. And so then we go on to discuss the importance of having that diversity, what that looks like, and how to navigate that as a panelist, and why, if you are, on a completely different, if you're in the gold and someone else is in silver or even bronze, why it's important to commit to that and trust yourself. Because sometimes it's not the oddball out that's the problem. Sometimes it's the other 4 judges that just completely miss what one person saw. So I'm going to leave this little clip in just as a little extra bonus of some of the things that we're discussing in our judges training programs and just the epic amount of time, space, and energy that these girls are putting into creating such an epic judging experience for you. Take a look.
And this is why we have 4 other people on the panel as well. If you scored it gold and other people didn't think it was gold, well, they would tell you. And what I mean by they would tell you is the other scores would not reflect that. And then you would get to decide, am I going to commit and challenge this? Or maybe I just got this one off. Or maybe my experience to this image is just vastly different than other people's. And then you decide, do you want to commit or do you not want to commit? And if you commit, then you challenge it. And then maybe it's not you that's the problem. Maybe it's the other 4 judges. Maybe they didn't see what you saw and they just need for you to point it out to them. And that's the beauty of a challenge, is just because one person might be the oddball out doesn't mean that you're in the wrong. It could be the other 4 judges that completely missed the point and you saw it and you need to enlighten them and tell them. And then they go, oh, I see it now. All it would have taken is for one person to see my metaphor with laser sharp focus, to bring that to the conversation, to change the whole dynamic of the image. That's my fault because I didn't communicate that well.
What was your metaphor? Tell me, I missed it because I lost power.
So laser focus. So that image was mine. Laser focus was meant to be like a laser beam. Zzz, hence the panoramic. Yeah. And I
kind of got there, but I wasn't quite there.
Yeah. And so just asking, I thought that was gold. Why, is that wrong, or am I not getting it right? And I was just reassuring everybody that, you're exactly where you should be. And that's the entrance fault, my fault for not visually communicating that well and executing that. It could have been a change in words. It could have been a change in crop or, whatever. But anyway, shall we go to the next image?